Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope everything is good and great and wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. So, yesterday's video was a little bit strange, and I'm kind of sorry. I'm sorry that it was weird. But it was just how I was feeling, and I try not to hold back too much. I hold back. I've had a talk with Em about that recently. That I do hold back. You guys, I don't think anybody who watches this show expects that I share every aspect of my life with you. But whatever. That's not the point. The point is, today I'm going to talk to you about music. And that is because I have been listening a lot to Gigaton, which is Pearl Jam's, 11th studio album or something like that. Pearl Jam has been one of my favoriteest bands since the 90s, since high school, essentially. And I still get really excited when they release albums because they're the kind of band where you never really know what you're going to get. Each album is a very distinct thing. There's a tone that's kind of carried throughout the entire album. And I think that Pearl Jam does a very good job of making it feel like an intentional collection of songs, as opposed to, I like these 15 songs, I'm just going to put them in some sort of order. Pearl Jam always makes it feel like I'm supposed to listen to the whole album, not just pieces. The funny thing about Pearl Jam is I was not initially a fan of theirs. I can remember Halloween of 92 or 93 or something like that was the first time I really got to listen to 10. At that time, my sister's boyfriend brought the album around for us to listen to. 94, I don't know, 95, it was somewhere around there. And we listened to it, and I was like, oh, that's cool, I've heard a couple of these songs on the radio. But I wasn't sold. I was just kind of like, okay, they're just another grunge band, which there was a lot of those at the time. And it was just like, okay, that's another band. And then 2 or 3 or 4 years later, I don't know, I think I was a senior in high school, actually, maybe a junior, when somebody introduced me to Pearl Jam's, fourth album, No Code. And No Code was such a drastic departure from everything that they had released up to that point, and I fell in love with No Code. It was like, this album's amazing. And ever since then, I've been a really huge Pearl Jam fan. But even at that time, I still didn't really appreciate 10, their first album. And I still don't. I appreciate the album. I love the songs on there right now, but it's very low on my list of favorite Pearl Jam albums. It's not very high for me. It's kind of was just like, that's what everybody was doing at the time, and I thought it was okay, but it wasn't amazing like No Code was. No Code was really just this really unique sound. And I think that's one of the things that I really love about Pearl Jam. And this newest album, Gigaton, I don't know why I said Tron, is very, very different. There's a whole lot of synth on this album. There's a whole lot of almost pop on this album. And I really love the fact that every time they release a new thing, it's something special. It's something unique in the world. They're not leaning on just sounding exactly the same. And I really appreciate about them. The fun part about it is, though, there's a whole lot of people who disagree with me. There's a whole lot of people who would much rather just have more songs that sound like they came off of 10 and verses and just never release new songs or new material or never grow as a musician. And I get that because I have bands that I look at like that also. I mean, Flogging Molly, I wear this hat every day. I have lots of Flogging Molly gear. I have probably seen Flogging Molly live more than I've seen Pearl Jam live. I have. I've definitely seen Flogging Molly live more than Pearl Jam, now that I think about it. And every Flogging Molly album sounds exactly like every other Flogging Molly album. They have a sound, they have a thing, and they just make new songs and new lyrics, and they just keep doing the same thing, and it's perfect. Like, I don't want that band to do anything weird. It would be really strange if they suddenly turned into like a pop fusion band or something, just did some weird synth songs. Like, it would be very strange. But for Pearl Jam, I think that one of the reasons that I love them so much is because they have such a dramatically diverse set of songs. Like, you can hear anything from folk to rock to maybe even like borderline metal, blues, funk. I mean, there's like everything in there. It's cool. So, I don't know. I was listening to it today. I went to pick Monster up. She's staying for the weekend again, and I was listening to the album again. And a few of the songs just really catch me. They're just like, yeah, really, this is good stuff. And it feels like every single time Pearl Jam releases a new album, for the first like listen or 2 or 3 or maybe even 6, I'm just kind of like, man, I don't know if I'm sold on this. But years down the road, it's like, man, I freaking love this. This is so good. Whereas, a band like Flogging Molly, every single album they release, like, yeah, there we go, that's more Flogging Molly. What do you think? Do you like it when bands grow and try to broaden their musical horizons, or do you prefer to just have the same stuff over and over again? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I hope you have a good weekend. I'll see you on Monday. The word today is anachronism. It is a noun meaning a person, place, thing, or idea whose time has passed and that seems to belong to an earlier age. His 3 record players, and the fact that he doesn't even know what an MP3 is, make Jim something of an anachronism. Anachronism. ANACHRONISM.